Let's just bring you the latest on the situation in Turkey. We know that 3 people have died and 14 are injured after an attack on a Turkish aerospace company on the outskirts of the capital, Ankara. We're just getting some images coming through to us now from Russia. Now, this is the BRICS meeting. President Putin is meeting leaders of a number of different countries in a 3-day summit in the city of Kazan. 36 countries are actually represented there. He's sitting opposite the Turkish leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And President Putin has said that we express our condolences and we condemn such acts, talking about what has happened in Turkey. Let's bring in Victoria Craig, who is a journalist who's based in Ankara, who can bring us up to date. Victoria, what is the latest that we know about the number of dead and wounded there?
Well, we know the Turkish Interior Ministry has just updated us about 15, 20 minutes or so ago, telling us that 3 people have died in this attack and 14 have been wounded. And this attack took place probably about 2.5 hours ago or so, just outside of where I am in the center of the Turkish capital, Ankara, about 17 miles from here. The Interior Minister has called this a terror attack against TUSAŞ. That is the Turkish aerospace industries company. It's a state-owned manufacturer of aerospace and arms equipment, I suppose, for Turkey. It produces military and civilian planes. And it's been designated to produce American-designed F-16 fighter jets. So, an important facility there on the outskirts of Ankara. Earlier today, there were reports of gunfire and an explosion that, as I say, killed at least 3 people so far. State media reported that personnel who worked at that facility were directed to shelters for security, and that security forces, firefighters, medical teams have all been dispatched to help the people there.
And Victoria, we're just getting an update now. President Erdogan apparently telling Russia's Putin that he thanks him for his condolences. We have 4 dead in this act of terror. So Erdogan saying that the number of dead now has gone up to 4. What do we know about how this group, whoever this group is, gained access to the site? Some reports that they may have arrived in a taxi?
We don't have any specific details yet, and that's something that the Turkish Interior Minister has stressed repeatedly today, along with the Ankara mayor, that we need to avoid speculation about what happened, what led to these events, who is responsible for the events. As we know, when things like this happen, there can be a lot of rumors that spread very quickly on social media, and so the Interior Minister and the government have warned to please only rely on official information from official sources. The statements that we've gotten so far have been posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, by the Interior Minister. You mentioned that President Erdogan is in Russia today for the BRICS summit there. And, we've been waiting to hear from him. Sounds like he's just now talked about what's happened here in the capital city today. But certainly details are still fairly sparse, as I think security teams and the government really gets a handle on what's happened today.
And in terms of who could be behind the attack, the statement from Turkey's Interior Ministry says that unfortunately we have martyrs and injured people following this attack. It's not clear who would be behind it, but who would be those on the list that could be seen as potentially behind any kind of terrorist act on Turkey?
Well, I think it's important to note the timing of this attack today comes one day after the leader of the Nationalist Movement Party, that's the MHP, which is a very strong ally of President Erdogan's Justice and Development, or AKP party here in Turkey. He said in a speech yesterday that the leader of that Kurdish militant group, which is known as the PKK, he's in jail. He said that he could be allowed to speak in parliament only if he says that the group will end its insurgency. And there's been an ongoing conflict here in Turkey for about 4 decades or so. And so there had been a lot of speculation. The speech really came by surprise yesterday. And there had been, before those comments made by this ally of the AKP, the head of the MHP party, before those comments, there had been a lot of speculation that perhaps the PKK could be reaching some sort of peace talks that could be coming up. We don't know that for sure, but this was surely the first indication that maybe that was something that the government was open to. And then, of course, today now we've got this designated terror attack on this production facility on the outskirts of Ankara. No one, to my knowledge, as of yet, has taken responsibility for the attack, but certainly it's worth noting the timing of that speech and today's events.
It is really interesting timing. And what do we know about this organisation itself, TUSAS? It makes and manufactures both civilian and military aircrafts, but also drones as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, so it's a state-owned company that produces arms and aerospace equipment for Turkey. It produces military and civilian planes and helicopters, as you say. It was launched to really allow Turkey to rely less on foreign-made weapons and planes technology, and as I said earlier, it's designed to. It's a designated supplier, a maker of American-designed F-16 fighter jets, which are crucial to Turkey's military operation here. So, a really important company for Turkey, and it's also worth noting too that the Interior Minister today was in Istanbul for a summit of technical equipment, security equipment. So initially, there had been a lot of speculation that perhaps, was he involved in this attack? Was he at that production facility today? He was not. He was in Istanbul. So that's a bit of background on the company and the Interior Minister himself.
And Victoria, before we leave you, is this still ongoing, this situation, or has it come to a close? Because there were reports that there was still gunfire inside.
We're not sure yet. I don't have more information on what's happening. I think it's sort of a minute by minute situation where security forces are trying to determine the ongoing threat level, if there is one. But certainly we're waiting for official word from government sources on, I suppose, the state of the attack and any additional information that may come out of that facility today.